Hello, class. A healthy relationship is built on unwavering trust, and formally leadership is defined as the use of power and influences to direct the activities of followers towards goal achievement. And we experience leadership in everyday life, and leaders really shape us to be who we are today. And today our group will inform you about the leadership member exchange theory through the Dennis Hightower case. First, we are going to teach the theory. Next, we are going to describe how he is going to run the meeting. And lastly, we are going to explain how much power he is going to allocate to each country manager in light of the theory. Thank you.
The leader-member exchange theory describes how leader-member relationships develop over time on a dyadic basis and explain why these differences exist. Member relationships are marked by a role-taking phase during which a manager describes role expectations to an employee and the employee attempts to fulfill these expectations. Initial role-taking phase may eventually be supplemented by the role-making phase, where the employee's own expectations are mixed in with those of the leader. Over time, this results in two types of leader-member dyads. The first is the high-quality exchange, or the in-group, which is characterized by frequent exchange of information, influence, and trust. People who are more competent, likable, and similar to the leader's personality are more likely to be in the in-group of the leader. The second is the low-quality exchange, or the out-group. This is characterized by limited exchange of information, influence, and trust.
Hey class, this is Matt Jemison, and today I'm going to demonstrate how Hightower could apply the 4 Ps in planning and conducting meetings to structure his meeting for Euro Disney. The 4 Ps model is a tool for leading, organizing, and executing efficient yet productive meetings within a business. The 4 parts of the model include purpose, participants, plan, and process. Purpose: specify the meeting's purpose. Participants: inviting the right number and mix of participants. Plan: carefully plan the meeting's content and format. Process: effectively manage the meeting's process. Next, we have created a scenario in which Hightower could have arranged and conducted a dinner meeting using the 4 Ps. Specify the meeting's purpose. Beforehand, Dennis is going to send a memo to each of the country managers explaining the location and time to where the initial Disney dinner meeting will be held. The purpose of this meeting is to establish the direction for Euro Disney. This includes outlining what will be included in the amusement park in terms of rides, merchandise, concessions, and any other large-scale revenue sources. In addition, Dennis will want each country manager to come prepared with a brief plan to how they might raise brand awareness in that particular country. The purpose of this meeting is to introduce the country managers and Dennis in an informal setting where Dennis is trying to form strong emotional bonds with his colleagues in order to ensure a frequent and errorless construction process. During this meeting, Dennis will inform each country manager of their expectations in preparation for Euro Disney. As the contingency theory states, that leadership isn't defined on style but control over a situation. There needs to be good leader-member relations, task with clear goals and procedures, and the ability for the leader to distribute out rewards and punishments. The reason for meeting in person is to share the wealth of information simultaneously amongst all 8 managers. Sharing simultaneously allows managers to quickly critique, suggest, and revise possibilities. Second step, invite the right number and mix participants. Dennis will invite all 8 country managers to the dinner meeting. Dennis does this knowing the leader-member exchange theory stresses strong and collaborative relationships between leaders and members. Dennis invites all managers because he doesn't want one country to feel left out, and he's able to set his initial expectations before the meeting. Part 3. Carefully plan the meeting's content and format. The meeting will start at 6 p.m. in Paris, France, at the Pierre Garnier. Before arriving to the meeting, Dennis asks each country manager to prepare a brief presentation outlining how might Disney strengthen their brand in that country, also suggestions for what might be included in the park. This role-taking allows Dennis to form quick evaluations while only being at the company a short while. His evaluation will prove critical for determining how much power he needs to allocate to where and to whom. Upon arrival, Dennis will introduce himself at the door of the restaurant to each of the country managers who are getting flown in from countries and chauffeured to his five-star restaurant. He will then address the managers and thank them for coming. He'll hand them the agenda which outlines the meeting's structure and topics. Next, he will address the purpose of this meeting, which is to establish the direction for Euro Disney. Where do we want to see Disney Europe in 10 years? How can we get there? Then, starting with the French manager, everyone will go around and list previous marketing and business development strategies. There will be a note taker in the room who records any important points that are worth writing down. Also, managers may use screen and audio equipment. After the French manager discusses, the table is open for the query. People asking questions to better define the tasks, while others suggest additional benefits. Creating this collaborative environment allows Dennis to make judgments in terms of these managers' competence, likability, and personality. This tactic is referred to the nominal group technique, where an initial brainstorm occurs, members report in a round-robin format, any questions are answered, and finally members vote on alternatives they prefer. Step 4. Effectively manage the meetings process. The meetings process includes communicating the purpose, time periods, specific tasks, and decision-making strategy. As stated above, the process is to establish the direction of Euro Disney. They would need to develop a full business plan, sales, marketing, distribution, construction, financial projections by 1988.
The leader-member exchange theory provides guidance into how Dennis needs to lead Disney's country's manager in order to ensure the Paris expansion is a success. Dennis knows of the leader-member exchange theory, so in order to better understand the country's manager's talents and responsibilities, he first creates expectations for their first meeting. These expectations carry grave importance since it will be Dennis's first evaluation of the managers. After discussing each of the manager's suggestions, Dennis becomes aware of the differences between each of the manager's competence, likability, and personalities. These differences are inherent to their natural behaviors. Together, these characteristics will have a subconscious effect on the group's ability to perform successfully and Dennis's ability to lead. Furthermore, as these exchanges between Dennis and managers become more frequent, Dennis begins to categorize managers in his in-group or his out-group. These categorizations are defined by the similarities in competence, likability, and personality between Dennis and the country managers. A betrayal at this stage might cause Dennis to place a country manager in the out-group, which would ostracize that European nation from the rest of the European brand. In the case of similarities, Dennis and his managers will experience a flow of information that is consistent, free-flowing, and high quality. Tendencies show that managers who experience frequent exchange of information, influence, latitude, support, and attention are generally offered more power. This analysis by Dennis can't be made only after their first dinner meeting, so in order to collect more data and exposure to each manager, Dennis will hold a bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, one-on-one meetings with managers to gain a better understanding of their local Disney expertise and, of course, their competence, likability, and personality. This won't be the only tactic Dennis uses to build Disney Euro's brand. He'll enact a 360-degree performance review to ensure he's not creating a competitive hierarchy between the countries with himself on top. All in all, Dennis will use the first meeting to observe how the managers respond to his initial expectations. From this, he becomes acquainted with the managers, from which their competence, likability, and personality will affect how Dennis perceives each manager. After that, managers who share similarities with Dennis experience stronger lines of communication and information flow. Thus, he categorizes these managers into his in-group, and the ones he's not so similar with, he categorizes in his out-group. In-group members receive more power, responsibility, and importance. If Dennis is able to create a successful in-group, Euro Disney, now Disneyland Paris, will ensure a prosperous future.